Well, that needs a lot of work. All right, so welcome to Bros, brothers from another mother. Welcome. We are guys talking about stuff, dudes being dudes, and brothers checking on brothers. This is episode 1 of Bros Live. As you can see, that intro needs a lot of work, so I got to talk to my graphics person, and I'll have to fire him or something. No, but anyway, welcome everybody. We have a great show. For those of you who watched us as Decades Light, we are still part of the Decades family. We are Decades bigger brother. And I just said that for Rubio's sake, if he's watching. Anyway, we've got Crazy Man, we got Alex on tech, we got Jim the Nature Boy, and we've got Mr. Gee of Tripping Through Transformation. Well, I'd like to get us started off tonight with what I was doing today. Today, I was down at my alma mater, Gonzaga College High School, down in DC. Oh, the barriers are still up along the roads too. So I was down. Gonzaga is on North Capitol Street, so it's literally blocks from the Capitol. Nobody was rioting. But I was down there. Had a wrestling reunion with some of my former wrestling mates, and we were seeing our alma mater wrestle our arch enemy or rival, St. John's, and we came out victorious. But it was nice because some of these guys I hadn't seen, and we text a lot, but we don't see each other face to face. And one of the guys who's a year older was on there. Thanks for joining us, Mike. So we were down in Gonzaga. They won, and actually the real neat thing is one of the seniors captured his 100th win in wrestling.
Oh.
And if you think about that, he wrestled for 4 years. He's wrestling for 4 years. That's averaging 25 wins over the course of those years. That means he's wrestling probably close to, I don't know, he's wrestling a lot of matches over that time, and that's just during the season. So it was a real fun time. It was great. We're going to try to make it a reunion of such. So that was something cool that I did today. Hey, Mike, I was the first time I'd been down to the campus in a long time. That thing has changed.
A lot.
We were joking about how one of the guys, Scott O'Donnell, who was with us, he hadn't been down there in a while either, and we kept saying, "Well, it didn't look like that when we were here, and it didn't look like that when we were here."
Yeah,
that only. And it's so anyway. So they've done a lot of remodeling of the schools since '87.
Yeah. I try to not sound like the old fogey. I go back to my alma mater, Boston College, and it looks different. And my father graduated from there in '69, and I just remember every time I was there, and he would come and he would say, "Oh, you kids have it so good here. Look at all the stuff you have." And now we're going to go visit my nephew in 3 weeks. I'm going to try real hard not to be, "Oh, look at how good you guys have it now. I never had anything like this back in the '80s."
Right, exactly.
It's all perspective, right?
Yeah, I do the exact same thing when I go back to St. Joe's. I mean, St. Joe's has expanded exponentially out into the city, over into Lower Merion and into the city, and it's like, and actually they just merged with the what is it, the Philly School of PMOC, right? Jim,
what was sounds good to me.
All right, Jim, you're up there. You need to be more connected than I am.
I'm not.
Anyway,
not up there, but yeah.
Anyway, Alex on tech, how are you doing? What's going on in LA for you? You guys safe and sound and all that good stuff?
Well, the fires are being mostly under control. It was another fire today in Ventura County. I think they're gonna get a hang of it pretty soon because there are plenty of firefighters and helicopters. All this good stuff. The response is a lot better than 2 weeks ago. The rest of it, just day after day life. Today I had to go to the office because my IT partner actually got sick, like cold or flu, one of those things. So I had to do a bunch of IT work today. So didn't do much software development stuff that I was supposed to do. But that stuff can always wait. Just supporting everybody.
Is your work affected by? Is the
No,
office
my-
affected?
No, it's in Orange County, which currently doesn't have any active fires. So I mean, it's actually safer if I go there. Yeah, I mean, the air is better in Orange County compared to LA.
Alex,
so-
how long has this been going on for? I feel like it's been forever.
Well, actually, it's been going on for a couple of weeks. At first, it was really, really bad because of winds, and LA wasn't prepared properly to handle the fires due to various factors. People say, "Oh, we need to take care of the fires. We shouldn't spread blame." But I think we should do both. We should make local politicians accountable for what they did, which caused the whole fire thing to spread out a lot faster and not being contained as fast as it should have been. Okay, so I mean, it's better now, but unfortunately, you never know with those Santa winds coming back, where next one could be started by either power company or somebody just doing stupid stuff like, I don't know, barbecuing or whatever it is. It's, I mean, all the winds and all the sun and all that other things, they call it climate change, it still does not start the fire. Okay, a fire is still started by an event or people or person. Okay, whether intentional or not. So I mean, and and they caught quite a few people who did start some smaller fires, and also they caught a bunch of looters who were trying to steal stuff while people were being evacuated from those areas. Which is, I mean, the lowest life, if you ask me. Those kind of people. And luckily, we have a new district attorney who is not afraid of prosecuting criminals. Okay, that's.
Well, I guess a lot of people out in the California area don't believe in Smokey the Bear. What was Smokey the Bear's motto?
Right.
We all have to help not start forest fires.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I
good.
know,
Well,
but-
I know everybody's happy that you're safe and sound and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Key, welcome back. It's great to have you here.
Yeah,
What's going on with you, my friend? Hey, Key, do you know Mike? I don't think you know Mike.
No,
Mike.
I haven't met Mike yet. No.
Mike,
I don't think we've met.
Mike.
I gotta tell you, I love your background stuff, man. I got a 15-year-old son who, thank God, about a year and a half ago decided to stop listening to modern hip hop, and he's all in on Led Zeppelin and the Kinks and the Stones and
Oh, wow.
all the classic rock. And so he and I went and saw the Stones at the beginning of the summer, and we did Springsteen in September. And he's right now he's going through a heavy duty Zeppelin phase, and he keeps circling back to the Eagles. So it's delightful to drive with him because he'll say, "Let me DJ," and he'll be, "Have you ever heard this song?" And he'll play like some REO Speedwagon song, and I'll be like, "Only about 200 million times."
Yeah.
But I'll gladly listen. I'll gladly listen to it again if it means I don't have to listen to the stuff you were playing a year and a half ago. So it's good stuff.
How old
Yeah.
is he, Mike? How old is he?
He's turning 16 in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
Stuff.
Wait, where's he Go ahead,
he
I'm
goes
sorry.
to Walter Johnson,
Oh, does he? Okay.
which is the Montgomery County. It's 3 blocks from our house, and he's doing
All
great there. He's taking more honors classes than the honors program he's in is requiring him to take, and he's making us all nervous because, if anything, he's too studious, which is something you would have never caught me saying him when I was 16. So, but he's just a great kid. Great kid.
Well, that's
Going
awesome.
for his Eagle Scout in a year or so. He's in the Boy Scouts. So if anybody here did that, he loves the camping and the outdoors stuff and hiking and all that.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
Very nice.
And he's got good taste in music too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got great taste in music. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a walking BuzzFeed questionnaire. He'll walk up to me and he'll be like, "All right, Daddy, who do you like more, the Beatles or the Stones? You have to answer." I'm like, "I'm not answering that question. Why would I answer that question?" He's always doing these pop surveys. What's your favorite King song? It's stuff like that. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Guy would say the Beatles are better than the Stones, wouldn't you, Guy?
No, Beatles are my number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely have an opinion there, but
Yeah. But I mean, my whole point is I don't have to have an opinion. Don't make me have an opinion on that.
no,
Like,
you don't need
I
to.
love them both, right?
I just I discovered the Beatles before I really got into the Stones, so they're
Yep.
my band.
Sure.
But
No,
yeah, but
they're-
I don't knock hip hop too. I like hip hop too. You know, I
Yeah,
like
yeah. He listens to that stuff with his friends, and he introduces that stuff to me sometimes. So it's good. But it is nice that for us to have like a music taste in common. He gets in the car and he DJs and off his phone, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious when he says to me something like he'll come across some artist he doesn't really know, and then like the nicest thing he can say to me is like, "Hey, Dad, can you make me a Bob Seger playlist?" He'll ask me to make him a playlist of a certain artist or whoever it is, the kids or whatever. I'll be like, "Sure, man, give me a day or two, and I'll throw something together and send it to you." It's kind of great.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my daughter loves the Beatles too, so we have that bond going as well. So yeah,
How old is she?
she just turned 19. Yeah,
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
great. Bonding with the kids. I mean, that's important. That'll suit them well in later life. And
Gee, tell Michael and if we have any audience today, I don't know.
yeah, we have a couple, not a lot,
Do
but
we?
we have some people watching.
Tell them a little bit about your show and what's happening tomorrow night.
my show, Tripping Through Transformation.
Yeah.
Listen to Jim. Hold on, before you, Jim. That's a very good lead in as co-host.
I knew he was going to take a crack at me. All right.
Let's tag you. So yeah, go ahead, Guy. I'm sorry, I just had to.
I mean, if you want to repeat Jim's question, just so you can get the credit.
Yeah,
for
go
it.
ahead.
No,
Ed.
I don't know. I want Jim to say the question. I just want to bust Jim's balls for saying the question because it's
Very good.
it's just fun.
Yeah, tomorrow will be episode 20, and I'm going live. So I'll be kind of doing a review of the past guests that I've had, the impact they've had on me. I'll go over some clips, and I'll go over some of my struggles over the past year and some of my learnt moments of learning, I guess. Yeah.
What time?
Yeah.
What time is it going to be live?
7 p.m. Mountain.
7
And
now?
yeah, so there'll be a chat there if people want to join the chat, and I'm pretty sure I can send out links too. So if some of you guys want to jump on camera and take
Oh,
part in the
okay.
conversation,
Hey Ed, did you hear that? He could send out links.
I believe so. I can invite up to 9 people.
What do you mean? That's
Oh,
what I
that
do,
kind of
Steve
like a
Dom.
lot.
That's why
So
you're
we can pop in. you're
Like I
saying.
can invite guests on, yeah,
I
and pop
got
on
it.
right.
camera.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. That's weird. What's what you're doing, Jim? That's how you're on here. That's the link that I send you.
No, but I mean, like if somebody's in the chat and they're like, "Hey, I'd like to share something," if I recognize the person and I trust them, I can say, "Here's a link," and jump on. Yeah,
Yeah.
spontaneously.
Demand.
What?
I was just trying to bust Ed's balls back.
I
that's
know.
all.
I
I've
know
been
you
trying
would,
to
Jim.
get
That's great.
Ed to teach me how to find the links for like decades, so ahead of time I could share them with people. But I still have. I'm not smart.
I thought you told last time I talked to you. You told me that you understood how to do it now. You
I
need
thought
my
I
Come
did.
on,
training.
Jim's a counselor. He's not a teacher. He can't
I-
teach.
exactly.
He just counsels.
That's right.
So for the three people that we have watching tonight, so what is your show about? But what is your focus of your show there, Guy?
Mental health, resilience, community, personal growth, and psychedelics. I guess in a way, psychedelic assisted
Why-
therapy.
Why have you chosen that as your focus? Why is that? What has played into that focus for your
Well, just
show?
my personal life experiences, really, just
Uh-huh.
some of the stuff I've gone through and how I came out on the other side. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good. That's mental health. Men's mental health is very important as we navigate this thing we call life. There's a lot of people struggle.
Absolutely.
So Jim, the nature boy, what's
Yes,
going
sir.
on with you?
What's going on with me? Well, Alan can tell you we're in the long haul of our public education academic calendar year, where we're like, when's our next day off? We don't see one for a while. Trying to keep our students on track and focused. It can be a little bit challenging, and trying to stay motivated to work out and exercise. I have been getting outside and doing my hiking. And then I see some of Guy's posts and I see how fit he is and how I need to start getting back into some of my maybe weight training. And I made it back to an F3 workout F3 Atlantic
That's
City
what I was going to
on
say.
Saturday, and that kicked my butt pretty good, but it was great. And you know, I always forget how good I feel after working out, and I'm like, why do I get in little ruts like that where I get away from it, or I make excuses, or I just
Yeah.
slide over to the couch instead of, you know, doing what I really should be doing. But you know,
Because going outside and when it's 12 degrees,
Yep.
it's,
Yeah, no.
that's another, it's an anti-motivator real quick.
Yeah.
It's like, especially if you do it early in the morning and you have to defrost your car and stuff like that. It's just like,
yeah.
oh, good
So
Lord.
as a parent, as a dad, my 2 children went back to college 2 days ago. And, you know, that's always a little bit tough because their winter break is so long that I felt like, you know, that was the norm for a while where they were just around. Of course, my son wasn't getting out of bed till 3:00 in the afternoon, but when I did see him in the afternoon and evening hours, it was good. And it didn't take long for my daughter to have a couple mishaps up at college. So she went up early to avoid, you know, some snowfall that we had Sunday. And she had to go right past like the Eagles game and all that traffic and gets to school. And the next morning, the first phone call I got, and I'm at work, and whenever you see your kid's name come through on you know, caller ID or whatever you want to call it on your phone, your contact come up as a call, your heart just starts to beat a little bit faster, you know, and you get a little bit more concerned and worried. Of course, I missed the call and she didn't leave a voicemail, so now I'm even more concerned, and call her up to find out that the first mishap was a truck like took out her side view mirror that was, you know, she was parked on a street. Parking's very limited there. It's very tough. So, you know, she wanted to know what she should do. And I'm like, pick up the pieces and put them in the car. I mean, like, you know, how am I going to drive? What am I going to do? I go, use your rear view mirror. You know, I don't know what to tell you, hon. I said, we'll order a replacement, but I, you know, don't know how quickly I get. So then the next one was like literally 2 hours later, she called and she goes, my car doesn't start. So I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And poor kid, we do have her on our AAA account. She waited, I think, 4 hours for somebody to come.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, she wasn't stranded, but to her, she was stranded. You know, she couldn't go to Target. She couldn't go to Target. But it all worked out. She ended up needing a new battery, and of course, you know, how am I gonna pay for a $200 battery? She's the child that spends the money quicker than she gets it, whereas my son, the one dabbling in day trading all by himself, you know, is he likes to squirrel it away. So I'm sorry, I rambled.
I have the same exact problem with my 15-year-old son hoards his money like a dragon sitting on a pile of gold, and my 14-year-old daughter hits my Starbucks app on my phone when I'm not looking.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, where'd all that money go?
Right.
It burns a hole in her pocket pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's how it is. My son's the same way. He'll keeps piling it in his account, you know.
Yeah. I will say this though, when he does make a purchase, it's usually something pretty big, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden I got this gaming computer and I'm like, whoa, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Vlad bought a like a huge 3U server that he has up in his room.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Where does she go? Where's your daughter go to school again?
She goes to Westchester. She's actually going tomorrow. She's in her senior year. She's going tomorrow to a school to do her first day of student teaching.
Good for her.
Yeah. So she's excited and nervous. Yeah. I'm excited and nervous for her. You know, I hope she has a good experience. Sounds like a good school district. Sounds like she has a really good cooperating teacher that's been super friendly just through the electronic communication that she's had with her. So yeah, we'll see.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right, before Al, Crazy Man, I'm going to come to you in a second, but we have a question. We have our first question of the night. I'm going to pull it up here, and I'm going to answer it. All right. Did Guy have a favorite guest besides Rubio? No, his favorite guest was Sub 60 Ed. I don't even know if Rubio was in the top 10.
Did I have a favorite guests? How about a favorite topic? So I had Jessica Vanderhoek come on, and we talked about psychedelic assisted therapy, and she talked about her experience with ayahuasca and how it helped her when she was suicidal. So that's probably my favorite topic, because that's really what I'm most passionate about, is mental health and healing people through psychedelics. So there's your answer, Rubio.
Can I comment on that?
You and I both lost. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I got to say, Guy, I have not seen every episode.
What?
But I actually, this is true. And if you have not ever seen Tripping Through Transformations, I would recommend that episode with Jessica
Vanderhoek. Yeah. Well, I hope I'm saying it right.
I watched it twice. Seriously, I did. I watched it twice. I thought she was amazing.
Mhm.
Her testimony and story was almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. So
yeah, the star power on my show is definitely the guests, but yeah,
no, I didn't mean it that way, Guy. I thought
no,
I
mean it. I mean it that way.
Yeah,
they have the stories, they have the expertise usually. So yeah, I've had a lot of interesting people come on.
So, Crazy Man, what's going on with you? I know you've had some big stuff going on in your orbit.
Well, you figure last Wednesday, my daughter totaled her car.
Oh, geez.
She was hit on the highway, and luckily it wasn't her fault. Her car was wiped out. Ed saw the pictures.
It's an SUV. She was driving an SUV, and everything deployed. All the bags.
She's okay.
All the bags.
Oh, and it was.
Luckily, having a 10-month-old car, bought it brand new with her own money, even though we were against her because she had a nice car, Honda SUV that was owned by her grandfather when he passed away. But unfortunately, if she would have been in that car, her injuries would have been much more. She ended up getting a broken collarbone. And this is all happening a day before I'm flying out for an endurance race in Florida, where I'm like, do I go? Do I stay? And I'm fortunate that, as Ed knows, my wife is all on board on a lot of stuff I do. So I was going to Florida for an endurance 67 miles in 24 hours in honor of veterans, LEOs, and firefighters. So I was raising money for that. Unfortunately, only made it 30 miles in just under 14 hours.
Hold on. But let me interrupt you there. Unfortunately, I only made it 30 miles. And what? Yes. How much was in your ruck?
34 pounds.
All right, he's 34 pounds. So he's not only walking 30 miles, but he's got 30 pounds on his back.
Yes.
So let's process that for a second. And he only made it 30 miles. I might have made it 30 feet. Just say. Anyway.
Well, you figured I've been training for this for a while. And 2 years ago, I had a little bit heavier rucksack, and I made it in less time. This past weekend in Florida, it was very humid. And as some of us older gentlemen, or let me rephrase it, as seasoned gentlemen, it's hard to regulate your body temperature once it gets to a certain point. So I was hot to the core, and it got lost a few times through the Ocala. I also helped some other racers back on the trail where they followed me with one of my blinking lights that I was carrying. But yeah, the humidity was very high. Thunderstorms were coming in. And once the thunderstorms came in, then the temperature dropped. And it's like, I was hoping for the rain to come earlier to help cool the body so I could go to at least stage 3, checkpoint 3. But it wasn't meant to be. And the whole thing, yes, for me, I want to make it all 67 miles in 24 hours. But that was my mentality as a racer. But the ultimate goal was to get in donations for the Operation Enduring Warrior, which I'm part of as a community ambassador. Talked to some people, and I've raised probably about just up to this race about $150. But in the last 3 years, I raised about $3,600 for the organization to bring in honorees that they don't have to pay for their stay. They don't have to pay for the event. So everything that we do, they don't have to pay for anything. So that was one of the nice things that was one of my whys, is why am I doing this? And it was better to be safe than sorry, to go for another 15 miles to the next checkpoint. So yeah, that was my race. That was my weekend.
That's good.
That
That's
little walk,
awesome.
Ed.
That's amazing.
Well, the important part is that your daughter's doing okay.
Yes, it is.
Driving. No
And my
worse
wife
worry.
she was wonderful. We talked when we were at the hospital, and she said, due to the fact that, I worked so much to get back from having a partial knee replacement 17 months ago. And Ed knows, I don't have a problem on bagging something for family or friends if it's the thing to do. And she said that she had it covered. So yeah.
No, did she actually? The way you explained it to me was like that scene in Rocky, where she looks at him, she goes, "Alan, just win, win." Yeah,
We just do our best.
Holly may be, his wife may be crazier than he is, just to.
She calls me crazy.
Just have to.
But I also say that she's insane because she knew what she's getting into.
Yeah.
So she knew that.
And they've been together forever.
Married.
It's not like you've gotten less crazy over the years.
No.
So
Alan, question for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's all right, Mr. Host. Go ahead.
It's co-host.
I'm sorry, Mr. Co-host.
So what would the average amount of time be for an average person in this ruck to do all
There
that?
are no average people going 60 miles, Jim. There are no average people. Average people don't do this.
And I still can't get over you saying you would go 30 feet. I just picture the ruck on your back with 30 pounds, and if you fell on your back, you'd be like a turtle.
No, I used to ruck a little bit with Alan a couple years back.
Yes, he did.
I used to ruck with him before my back started giving me problems. So.
This past year, there was 20 people that finished, and that went from 20 hours to 23 hours. This event normally is an 80% failure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like the one, when I did it, there was 59 that showed up this past weekend. 71 signed up, but only 59 showed up. 20 finished. So that gives you roughly around a 38% pass rate. When I did it 2 years ago, only 7 passed, and that was an 84% failure rate. So since this has been doing over the last few years, it's roughly somewhere between 75 and 80% failure rate.
Wow. So when you were at the 30-mile mark, were you between the checkpoints? Like, what do you do there? Like, you just
I reached the 30 miles was checkpoint 2.
Okay. You were
so
at that checkpoint,
the owner texted me, who runs the company and so forth, sent me a message going, "Hey, are you stopping at checkpoint 2?" I'm going, haven't decided yet. And truthfully, that was never on my mind.
Right.
But due to the rain hasn't come in to cool it off.
Yeah.
I was going through a lot more water than I would normally do for one of these events. I was eating more just to keep going forward and forward and forward. And it was just to be responsible, just not for yourself, but to have someone come in after you to pick you up, because there's no way.
Right.
So they would actually, I mean, we've been a couple events that I've been at on some of these where there's only been twice that I know of that they've had to send medical staff in after them because one person broke their leg and they were in between signals that they couldn't get a signal out in the mountains.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Michael, what's
great.
going on? How's the how's things in the McDonald? How are you guys doing?
Everything's great here. I just wanted to say to Crazy Man, I really admire it. I've been doing a lot of hiking in the last year for the first time in years. And usually it's, 8 to 10 miles in a given afternoon with a little day pack on, but I did 13 miles one day with my son's Boy Scout troop with a 30-pound pack on my back because we were doing the C&O Canal towpath up by Paw Paw, West Virginia, and we were camping where we went to. And at the end of that day, I might have been able to go maybe another mile or two, but then I would have collapsed. It was 30 pounds on my back. It was a lot different than a day pack with a water bottle and a granola bar and a sweatshirt. It was, a whole different thing. But it was a fun experience with him. And he's now he's training. There's a facility. I don't know how familiar any of you are with the Boy Scouts, but they own a facility down in New Mexico. It's an acreage called Philmont Ranch, and it's 3 different kinds of terrain, desert, mountains, and forest and stuff. And you can pick these different treks. So they'll do 7 days down there in late July, early August, hiking around, sleeping where they hike to, carrying their own water, the whole deal. And they stop at, I think there's 2 different days when they stop at sort of like general store, outfitting stations. But it's a lot of outdoor stuff, and I give them a lot of credit for doing it. It's not easy, and I give you a lot of credit for doing it.
Ed knows that I would be. He would have stuff sitting out. I'm swinging by. You have anything cold to drink?
Usually leave them water bottles. No, I said no. You can use the spigot. You can turn on the hose.
Sweet.
The hose.
The one year I did 1,800 and I think 11 miles in a year.
Wow.
And I was doing this 1,000 club where you have these runners and 1,000 miles a year in a year, and I was in the top 15. But most of these people were runners, and I was a rucker carrying this thing. It was just amazing, and
it's
and that's
amazing.
how I was getting myself ready for Ocala 2 years ago before the injuries.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah, I've just started hiking. I'm trying to do the whole Potomac Scenic Heritage Trail, which is a collection of trails that basically goes from the Chesapeake Bay up past DC along the Potomac River all the way into the Alleghenies along the C&O Canal towpath up to Pittsburgh. Wow. And I'm trying to do different segments of it, as working them in on the weekends. So over the next couple of years, I'm going to do the whole thing. And it's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey. I've seen a lot of areas, Ed, you and I know real well, but from different perspectives. I've walked underneath the American Legion Bridge, on the Virginia side of the river. I've done all sorts of stuff that's been really interesting. And it's nice to get out in nature and do that, but I don't think I could do what Crazy Man does. That's crazy, to coin a phrase. I admire you for it.
It really is.
I admire you for it for sure.
If I'm going to torture this old body, at least I'm going to torture it for a good reason. And
I've been doing a lot more exercise lately, and the most torturous thing I did for myself was I've also been doing. I've been taking some medicine, one of these needle things, and I've lost about 82 pounds since March. 82 pounds of the beginning of a lot of weight I need to lose, and one day, and I do these little challenges on this fitness app on my phone, and one of them was a cardio challenge where you had to get your heart rate up for 15 minutes, an average of X to 110, 120. And so I was hiking on the C&O Canal towpath into Georgetown to cross over to Roosevelt Island, and I realized I also had to do my cardio challenge. So I was one of the crazy people, and there are a fair number of fitness people who are crazy, who was just going up and down the famous Exorcist steps at the foot of Georgetown, as fast as I could, up and down and up and down. Because I tell you, man, that'll get your heart rate up real fast. It's about a concrete staircase. It was about 4 stories straight up with two breaks, 2 little landings and not much else.
Sounds
And,
like the Rocky Steps.
I was,
in
you know what, Jim?
Philadelphia.
I was just going to say that the Philadelphia Art Museums.
Rocky has nothing. He wouldn't survive the Exorcist stairs.
Yeah, the
No,
Exorcist
no,
steps are steeper, smaller steps.
Oh wow!
You're just going up and up and up. Yeah. And I managed to do it like 4 times without having a heart attack or being possessed by the devil. So I considered it a win.
That's good.
Hey, Michael, going back to music, are you a Doobie Brothers fan? Being Michael McDonald,
Given my name,
Yeah.
I get a lot of that. It's my last name is McDonald spelled differently.
Okay.
So I do get a lot of, you listen to the McDoobie Brothers. In fact, just today, my son and I were listening to China Grove, and I was trying to explain to him how weird if you sit down and read the lyrics, how weird the lyrics are. It's like, a town in Texas that's adopted Eastern Asian practices. It's a strange song,
Yep.
but yeah,
I had the pleasure of being introduced to a lot of classic rock because I had 2 older brothers that were
right.
like 8, 9 years older than me. So I was just immersed in it and liked it. So it stuck. But my son has not taken to it like I would like, but whatever. Yeah. Go ahead, Ed. You're allowed to talk.
No, we're gonna take a short break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about what is on everybody's mind. You're a Steelers fan. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
This tip is on a DuckDuckGo chatbot that won't be trained on your data. DuckDuckGo wants to demonstrate that it's possible to host privacy-protecting AI chatbots. The company pulled this off by reaching deals with chatbot providers such as OpenAI and Anthropic to forbid them from training their AI models using the queries from DuckDuckGo users. To create another layer of protection, DuckDuckGo will also submit its own IP address rather than user's IP address with each chat inquiry made. In addition, DuckDuckGo does not save or store any chats, the company said. To respond with answers and ensure all systems are working the underlying model, providers may store chats temporarily. But there is no way for them to tie back to you personally, since all metadata is removed. This tech tip for a great show called Decades is brought to you by Alex on Tech.
Well, thank you, Alex, for that great text tip.
I ran and got my hat.
There you go. Thank you, Michael. All right, so
I got a
we
glass.
have.
You saw the
Well,
glass?
it's well.
There you go.
Here we go. Here we go. 33.
I'm
years
saving
ago,
the champagne for Sunday. I just water right
33
now.
years ago, the Redskins were in their last Super Bowl in '91. Since then, as Mike will tell you, it's been nefarious at best. It's been a hard 33 years. And all of a sudden, this kid comes out of LSU, and now somehow we're sitting on the precipice of basically going to the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, it still hasn't kind of registered. It's still hard to believe, to comprehend that we went from 4-13 last year to whatever we are now, 13-5, 14-5. Because that's the stuff that doesn't happen to the Redskins Commanders.
Right. It's the new owner. The new
Yeah.
owner has made all the difference in the world. No question.
I would have to agree that having Dan Snyder out, I think it's done a lot.
It was
for
the
organization.
first necessary step to get where we are. The quarterback, Jaden, don't get me wrong, he's been
yeah.
fantastic. But oh man, I love having the new owner.
I
Doing
just saw
everything right.
a bit by Terry McLaurin. He did. I saw it on Instagram or Facebook or something, and he asked him about the culture, and he goes, "There's a culture of accountability now, and that's who we bring in." He goes, since Terry's been around for a while now,
Right.
he was basically saying, guys are being held accountable, and if the players come in, you are to assume that accountability as well. That is what is expected for anybody who comes to the Commanders. And
Commanders. Why do you keep calling them the Commanders?
because I see Mike's hat, and I don't know, it's the Redskins. I'm still old school. I'm still hoping the new ownership decides to bring us back to the good old days.
I do hate the name the Commanders.
Yes.
Terrible.
And mostly because and mostly because I feel like when Snyder picked that name, and it's very clear that it was his team that picked it, and they ignored all the public opinion polls and contests and things like that, where people came up with much better names. It was the there was a guy who wrote an op-ed piece in the Washington Post at the time that was so right on. It was basically like, this is a craven attempt to associate the team with the military on the theory that no one ever criticizes anything associated with the military because it's unpatriotic to do so. And it was basically pimping out the men in uniform, and it's a craven bullshit thing. And I think that's exactly right. His PR was so bad at that point. He was grabbing at anything that could not be criticized. And he thought, well, I'll just pick the Commanders because it's a military thing, and people get yelled at when they criticize the military. And everybody rolled their eyes and saw it for what it was. But
and what I think
just as bad as that mascot.
I don't even talk to me about that. That mascot, the first thing they should do is just do away with that already. Piggo or whatever they call him, Hago.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
Siri, show me a picture of the.
But let's not complain.
Mascot.
We're riding high right now. There's no
right. No. But the what is also really cool.
Oh my god! I've never seen it before. Is that a pig?
Yeah, it's a pig in a hat.
That's Ed in a Speedo.
Oh, fight me. No, but what's been really cool is Vlad has kind of liked football, but like for the past 10, 15 years or whatever, it's like, no, I'm not going to sit here and watch them lose or get them beat or
right.
And now though he sits in here and he's like all in, and it's kind of fun. You kind of build that, as you probably did, Mike, growing up in this area. Sundays was watching the Redskins in the 80s.
Yep, sure.
If you were like our house, we had the radio on with Frank, Sam, and Sonny.
Right. The volume turned down on the TV.
And you turned the TV down, and you had the Riggo horn when he ran and stuff like that. And, it's nice to kind of get that feeling back for this. And the fact is for me at least, it's surreal because it happened so fast.
Oh, so fast. I don't know if you saw that. There's a spot interview where the press grabbed Magic Johnson and Jeff, what's his name, the owner. Yeah. And they asked him right before it was right after they won the wild card. And they said, how do you feel? And, did you expect it in 2 years? And Magic Johnson said, less than 2 years and no way. Like, none of us expected to go this fast so quick. I will tell you, my wife is an Eagles fan, so Sunday in this house will be interesting. Yeah. And my son, who when he first started getting interested in football because we were so abysmally bad, he toyed with being a Ravens fan for a while, and I couldn't really blame him. We live as close to Ravens Stadium as we did to where the Redskins played. And so I sort of said, look, if you want to be a Ravens fan, I'm not going to stop you. And he never really embraced it 100%. And the minute the team got sold, he's all in on the Commanders. We watch the games together every Sunday. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is the joke I told somebody today at the office. I said, he's got a little bit of Philadelphia in him, though, because even though he roots for the Commanders, on Sunday, when we realized we would be playing the Eagles this weekend, my wife said, now let's just promise, boys, that no matter who wins or who loses, we'll all be good sports. And my son said, well, I'm not going to promise that. And I thought, see, that's the Philadelphia in him right there.
Is your wife from Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Is she from Philly?
He gets that from the Philly side of the family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Ed, are you Jim, and Mike done your premature celebratory
yeah, well, I was coming to you.
All right,
Mr.
Alan, tell him what's going to happen. Alan, tell him what's going to happen on Sunday.
What's going to happen? I want to hear this.
Yeah.
Eagles win.
Alex, tell him who's going to win Sunday. Go ahead.
What?
Who's going to win the game? The Eagles and the Commanders.
Alex fell asleep listening to you, Jim.
I hope Redskins win, and I hope they beat. Okay. Hey,
I think it's going to be really close.
Oh, I do.
You're not going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley. He's
3 points.
He's going to run all over you guys.
No.
And
You know what?
as good as Jaden Daniels in, he's not going to be able to pull off a miracle.
I'm telling you, nobody gave us a chance against Detroit.
Oh, they're giving you a chance now.
Well, somebody said, I forget, one of the ESPN guys, or was it Stephen A. Smith, or somebody big name said, you know what? The Commanders now can beat anybody.
Oh,
If
yeah.
they can, I mean, if you can beat Detroit in their stadium for a chance to go to the championship and beat them soundly, you know, you can pretty much, if your game's together. Now, I personally still have PTSD, and you know, it has to be up. They should be up 70-0 with 30 seconds left, and then I'll feel comfortable.
Right. That's an Eagles fan there. Guy, I know you're not a big sports guy, but what people up in Canada, do they follow the NFL? Do they care?
Oh, come on, they're hockey players.
Is there a big fan base for NFL football or no?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, I'm not hanging around those guys, but
Right.
yeah, we watch football here. We watch all the sports.
Yeah.
So,
So
Guy,
what
actually,
about who they root for? Like, does it vary? Like,
Man, I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah,
man. I have no
gotcha.
clue. To me, it's like what the Dolphin Cowboys or what Dallas. I don't even know what the heck the teams are. The 49ers,
Dolphins.
the Raiders. Go team, go football.
No, I was gonna ask you. Do you think the Canadians follow Canadian football more or the NFL more?
Again, I'd like to think Canadian football because I think Canadians prefer the rules and stuff in Canadian football. But I don't know. These are not conversations that I'm having with guys.
You got to ask Chevy and Nasty that question.
Yeah, we got to ask. We have to have Chevy and Nasty on and get their input.
That'd be a better guest to have on. Yeah, ask them.
Yeah, but what I start doing is, Mike, where your wife is from, the Philadelphia area?
My wife is from outside the Philly area, and and she's been following them her whole life. It's the one team she really still roots for from there, and she works for the local NBC affiliate. And she actually got to go to Minnesota a couple years ago and see them finally win a Super Bowl. And the joke in our family was, she said to me, and I mean, she was entertaining clients, so she got to do it top notch, you know, skyboxes, the whole deal. And she said to me, you know, if you really want to go to the Super Bowl and go on StubHub and buy a ticket for like $1,000 a nosebleed seat, you'd never have to go to the seat because I can't get you a ticket to the game, but I can get you passes to the suite and different things. And so you could just sort of follow me around. And I thought about it. And at the time, our kids are pretty young, so the logistics of getting someone to watch them would have been tough. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to stay home with the kids because I can only think that the worst place in the world would be standing next to you at a place with an open bar if the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And the second worst place in the world would be standing next to you with an open bar if the Eagles lose the Super Bowl. And it's going to be one of those two things, and I don't want to be there to deal with the gloating or pick up the pieces. So you go and you have a good time, and your coworkers. And that's exactly what we did. And so, but it is a fraught element in our relationship. And Guy may appreciate this. Before they won that Super Bowl, one of my favorite jokes, which you heard a million times, was, "What's the difference between the Super Bowl and the Grammys?" And the answer was, "Well, the Eagles have won a Grammy." But you can't tell that joke anymore.
No, you cannot.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, but it's. I agree with you. I agree with the Eagles fans. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game.
I think so.
I don't think
It's froze.
What's that?
Wow.
You still there,
It's going to
Jim?
be within a touchdown. Oh,
You said it's going to be.
Put in timeout.
Your prognostication, it's going to be a close game, fried Jim's server.
Yeah, it did. Okay.
Just
Hey, what did Crazy Man fry your server? How are you on twice?
I'm a
Oh my God, Jim's the co-host and he split himself.
Were you guys still connected when I was out?
Yeah, Jim.
You're still out.
You're still out, Jim. You're
You
kind of
can't hear me?
No, we
Yeah,
can.
we can see you, but you've also got a spinning circle of doom up above
I
you.
see that. I don't know what that was. That was wacky.
There you go.
Probably
You broke your son's
paranormal. I broke his gaming chair that I'm sitting in, and the
Exactly.
table.
Well, you know those gaming chairs. You know they give you the feel and the sounds and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No, but
watched
I
a
think
cool
I-
show.
I'm-
I watched a
I'm-
cool show on. I like all those History Channel, Nat Geo, and they did a thing on. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, Alan. So, you being the teacher, you can correct me. Is it Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu.
Yeah, Machu Picchu.
Yeah,
That's
Machu
it. Yeah.
Picchu.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
good
was
job, Jim.
crazy stuff
Yeah.
there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
They were talking about some really powerful energy coming out of that place. It was cool.
Have you ever watched Ancient Aliens?
Mm-mm.
Oh, watch Ancient Aliens.
Okay.
You want to get your mind blown. It'll really get you starting to think.
Well,
How
that
did
was
they-
one of the things that they were talking about. They were talking about how many more extraterrestrial sightings and things are in that area, and they talked about like possibly way back when I guess it was the Incas, right? Were there? Come on, Michael, you're smarter than me. Who was it? The Incas?
Yeah, I think it was the Incas are down
Incas
there.
and
The
Aztecs.
Mayans are further
Or the-
up,
or
and then
the- or
Aztecs
was
are
it-
further.
Right. And something about they may have been part of how they built it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
There was
if
a
you
very
really think about-
there's a very famous book in the 70s called Chariots of the Gods.
Mhm.
Yeah,
where a guy,
we have
and
it.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, where a guy basically said, you go and look at the pyramids in Egypt and different ancient sites that look so amazing technologically. How could they have even done this back then?
Right.
And there's this theory that a lot of the early mythological stories about the gods coming down in sky chariots is actually potentially alien visitors coming down and
Yes.
sort of doing what the monolith does in 2001,
Yeah.
giving them a little head start on technology and helping them out with some stuff.
Right.
I don't think there's any way to really prove it at this point, but it's an interesting theory to
It
think
is
about for sure.
It is,
Char-
because if you
Chariot
look- 'cause it's
of the
it's
gods.
Chariots of the Gods. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
by
forget who it's by.
Is that
Eric Von
Graham
Daniken.
Hancock? Is that Graham
It-
Hancock? Chariot of the
no,
Gods?
it's Eric Von Daniken.
Yeah, that's it. It's Von Daniken. Yep.
Yeah, Vlad has a copy of it. Vlad reads all of those guys that are on that show.
I'll tell you what, I have to read more. There's
I'll
no
tell you-
reason why
I'll tell
I
you
should
this
be
much.
reading more.
If you think about it, if you look at what they've done, it's one of two things. It's either we've regressed actually as a society because they were actually more mathematically advanced than we give them credit for because they were able to build it, or they were aliens.
Right.
I mean, because some of the things, the way they're sealed together,
Right. They
You
say
see
that
it-
some of the way the stones and the Great Pyramids
Yes.
and things are sealed together, they didn't have the technology to do that back then. They must have gotten help from someone else.
yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
what's really crazy.
Guy, you
Well,
got an
gentlemen-
opinion on that?
On how the on how the pyramids were built?
No,
You got all the
we're
good questions for
we're-
me. I've got the
aliens
answer.
involved. We're aliens involved.
I don't know if aliens are involved, man. I don't know what to believe anymore. There's so many speculations out there. Like I do listen to podcasts that talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many stories. I don't know what's real or not. I definitely think they had some technology that maybe we don't know that's been lost, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
All right.
But it's
No,
actually
I'm-
it's a very interesting. If you ever have a chance to watch it, watch it. It's on the History Channel, I think.
Ancient aliens.
Yeah, Ancient Aliens, and it's really, some of the stuff is really kind of like makes you think. You guys, it's either cool or you guys are nuts.
Ancient, I think it's Ancient Apocalypse with Graham Hancock on Netflix is really good too. He talks about like civilizations that predate what we think is possible, like for when humans first became thing. Yeah.
Well, they've
So-
found, yeah.
So
So
the
my-
really interesting guy, because he's A, current, and B, the guy's name is let me get it exactly right. His name was there's a guy named Luis Elizondo, and he was in the government for years, working with the Air Force and the Navy people on UFO stuff. And he basically went in front of Congress and without violating his non-disclosure agreements with the government, said in public hearings, look, we have all this information. We should be sharing it with the public more. I don't know why we're not. There's stuff we know, that the public can handle. We should be telling them about it.
Mhm.
And he sort of lost his job as a result. He was sort of a whistleblower, and now he's just written. And I just heard him interviewed on Smartless a little while ago, and he's just got a book out called Imminent, which is basically what he thinks is going to happen. How in our lifetime we're going to, if not have contact with UFOs or alien races, at least become more aware as a society of what the governments are hiding from us about what they've discovered. And so it's probably the most up-to-date book on this stuff you'll find from a guy who had a lot of access to a lot of stuff. And so it's probably worth reading. It's called Imminent. Elizondo is his last name. Elizondo. I've actually ordered it. I can't wait to read it. And I usually don't read stuff like that. So
Sounds cool.
Yep.
Well, awesome.
I
He
hope,
jokingly said we don't call them UFOs anymore because half the time what they're doing can't scientifically be explained as flying the way they're moving around. They're moving around in ways that we can't even explain. So I thought that was interesting.
I hope this guy doesn't mysteriously disappear.
Right.
I don't think he's related to the Clintons in some aspect.
Right. He was never on Epstein Island, so he's probably fine.
Right, exactly. Well, gentlemen, it's that time for us to wrap it up. I want to thank you all for being on here. I think it was a great time. Hopefully you guys all had a good time as well. Just kind of, like I said, this is bros. We're just sitting around kind of shooting the stuff. Feel free to bring stuff you want to talk about. I think we had some good topics here. We talked Redskins, Eagles. We checked in with everybody. We even brought up some ancient aliens. And that's what we're trying to do here, is that even just out of the conversations we have, produce more conversations. And with that, I wish everybody fun farewell. In next week, we'll have Decades Thunderdome. Make sure to join Rubio and the cast for that fun time. I'm sure without
Why do you think there's much to talk about?
What's that?
Do you think there's much to talk about lately?
Oh, I
don't know. It depends if the aliens
Rubio's
come.
putting books together of stuff to talk about.
I'm sure.
So until the next time,
Don't forget to tune in to Tripping Through Transformation live tomorrow night.
I'm psyched.
Thank you, co-host Jim.
Good luck.
Way to go, co-host.
All right, take care, guys.
Cheers.
We're out.
Take care.